Hi everyone, my name is Lucas Watson and I'm studying at UW for a Bachelor's in Communications and Media. My passions have always been centered around creative endeavors, and as such, that is why I chose this Bachelor and the Introductions to Communications and Media class. After a term of this class, I've researched many aspects of communication today, including media audiences and moral panic. These two theories perfectly match up well with the question for this video: does guerrilla marketing stand as a viable tool for advertisers in the online world? It looks like we have a guest already, a guest host. To be honest, I've briefly studied this theory during my Year 12 thesis on the question, how do advertisers manipulate consumers' emotional responses to sell products? Which I will link below for those of you who are interested. I used it to get to UOW. Anyways, the concepts of guerrilla marketing have always interested me. In my thesis, I listed it as one of the kind of advertisements that cut through the social noise of an average consumer and manages to grab their attention, even in a world of vastly declining attention spans. So, for those of you who are unsure what exactly I'm talking about, guerrilla marketing, according to Ahmed Nawaz,
guerrilla marketing is a modern technique in product marketing that makes use of unconventional or unusual means of promoting the product to the market.
It's a good quote, but it doesn't exactly explain it perfectly for people who don't know a lot about marketing. It's pretty helpful. Advertising is weird like that. It's an umbrella term within more umbrella terms. So let's try to sum it up more succinctly. Guerrilla marketing is commonly known as a type of advertising that uses unheard of interactions and surprises to connect to the consumer. It's a big term that covers a few different strategies. For the purpose of this video, we'll talk about two. Ambush marketing and viral sensation marketing. Now, possibly the most used case of guerrilla marketing in this case is ambush marketing. Ambush marketing is utilized in places with heavy foot traffic, most commonly in a shopping center or by a train station, around other advertisements by the competitors. So like a Coke poster next to a Pepsi billboard, etc. The brand can do a simple or super complex illustration in a public place, or it could be a full installation with brand ambassadors in construction. I will show some great examples.
Cowboy!
Teddy bear? The one thing that defines the simple print on the floor to a poster on the wall is the direct interaction with the consumers. That kind of relationship building between the brand and the consumer is one of the best ways to raise awareness of the brand because of that direct emotional connection formed with that interaction. I'll show some examples, but I'll just describe one in particular. If you were to see a Coca-Cola, I don't know why it's always Coca-Cola, let's say something, Tesla. If you were to see a Tesla poster, you'd walk right by, you'd be like, oh, yep, that's a Tesla car on a billboard, cool. If you were to see a Tesla with a spokesperson outside of it, telling people that they could go on free drives to try out the new Tesla, that is obviously more of an interaction, more of an experience with the brand. Now for a look into online bait guerrilla marketing. This is a less common use of guerrilla marketing. However, it does have some very interesting examples. The concept is similar to the last, except the connection between the brand and the consumer is formed online. A favorite example of mine for the online guerrilla marketing, I've shown it in my pitch and I'll show it again because it actually shows the data, like the results. This is VW's Polo Unfail advertisement by DDB Australia. what's actually interesting about DDB Australia doing that ad is DDB did the original 1960s advertisements, which I also did a research paper on, which revolutionized marketing. I'll put some right over there so you can check them out. So, is online guerrilla marketing viable when compared to its real-world counterpart? When looking back on my thesis, lots of information is found about brand relationships and how they are formed. Even if, as humans, our attention spans, especially when online, is low. Even if, as humans, our attention span, especially when online, is low, a surprising or unconventional advertisement using guerrilla marketing can break through the noise. A favorite quote of mine I found during my research sums up why this kind of advertising is so important. Walter Dill Scott said,
Man has been called the reasoning animal, but he could with greater truthfulness be called the creature of suggestion. He is reasonable, but he is to a greater extent suggestible.
I really like that quote. It's like almost poetic, and it was one of the defining lines of my thesis. Marketers have found this suggestion is easiest when the brand relationship is strong, and guerrilla marketing is a perfect advertising strategy that puts the suggestion into motion. Now, for my opinion on this question. Personally, while online guerrilla marketing is a great strategy, it seems most well-known examples of guerrilla marketing come from physical, in-person activations. However, I do believe that because of the online shift, the use of guerrilla marketing online will be worthwhile to advertisers around the world. We've already had a few good examples. It's just obvious that right now, most of them come from real-world activations. But I believe that that can change. This is also proven by the fact that most real-world activations are actually filmed and put onto the channels of the brand, their social medias, which receive many viewings, many interactions, and that's just another thing pointing towards this is the kind of content that people enjoy in advertising. It's new, it's fresh, it's interesting, and it forms that connection. So yes, in my opinion, online guerrilla marketing is viable. And as Gerd Neufer said,
Guerrilla marketing is always shedding its skin, changing and developing rapidly with modern trends.
So, guerrilla marketing should continue to be utilized by marketers everywhere. Well, that's it for the information side of this video, but I'm just going to go ahead and do a look back on the last submission I did for the project pitch and annotated bibliography. So if you have no idea what I'm doing at school, you can just skip this part, but this is for my teachers. The last part is just a quick look back into my submissions for this class. While I was happy with my research, especially for my annotated bibliography, I wasn't pleased with my video. Hopefully the one you're watching now is much better. The last one was basically a glorified podcast with no footage and just my voice. And after receiving feedback, I realized I hadn't quite focused on a main aspect yet. So I hope this new version with a question, which I learned from Big Picture before coming to UOW, we would focus on one question to research inside of the subject. So I found a question to research, and I hope that that's made this a bit more succinct and a bit more informational. I hope it was altogether better than the last, and thank you for listening.